What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Feeling nostalgic today? Well, get ready for a blast from the past because we're diving into a classic sitcom that pushed boundaries and kept us glued to the screen. All in the Family. Remember Archie's explosive rants, Edith's sweet innocence, and Gloria's epic eye rolls? This show tackled serious topics with humor, sparking conversations that mattered while keeping us in stitches. But what about the incredible cast? Let's see how they've changed over the years. We'll be uncovering their transformations and careers since the show ended. Plus, we might just spill some juicy, behind-the-scenes secrets you never knew existed. So, fasten your seatbelts, smash that subscribe button, and let's embark on this nostalgic journey together. Jean Stapleton as Edith Bunker. The lovable Edith Bunker, played by Jean Stapleton, was Archie's wife. Though a bit spacey at times, Edith had a kind heart that shone through. Archie constantly belittled her with insults like "stifle yourself" and "dingbat," but Edith usually took it in stride. However, when she did speak her mind, her simple wisdom often surprised everyone. Stapleton's acting career began at a young age, hitting the stage at just 18. She went on to become a Broadway star, appearing in hit musicals like Funny Girl and Bells Are Ringing. These roles even landed her parts in the film adaptations, marking her movie debut. But her talents weren't limited to the stage and big screen. Stapleton also found success on television, with a memorable role in the award-winning movie Tail Gunner Joe. She even got to share the spotlight with the Muppets on their show. The late 70s saw her stay busy. She played the lead in a Canadian musical and a heartwarming Hallmark movie based on a true story. In 1982, she took on the historical role of Eleanor Roosevelt in a TV movie, earning critical acclaim for her portrayal. Stapleton preferred to stay out of the spotlight when not acting. Though she reunited with her TV husband Carroll O'Connor on a talk show, she playfully refused to impersonate Edith. That was a performance reserved for paying gigs. Sadly, Jean Stapleton passed away in 2013 at the age of 90. Carroll O'Connor as Archie Bunker. Archie Bunker, played by Carroll O'Connor, was a blue-collar worker with some old-fashioned views. You might call him a grumpy but strangely endearing bigot. A veteran of World War II, Archie pined for a bygone era when things were the way he liked them, as shown by the show's nostalgic theme song. All in the Family ended after a successful 9-season run, but Archie's story continued in a spin-off called Archie Bunker's Place for 4 more years. Even though his longtime friend Jean Stapleton, who played his wife Edith, joined him initially, she only made a few appearances in the first season. Stapleton decided to leave the role, and sadly, Edith's character passed away in the show's second season, leaving Archie to deal with the loss. At the time, O'Connor was one of the highest-paid actors on television. But Archie Bunker's Place was unexpectedly canceled in 1983. O'Connor wasn't happy about it, feeling the show deserved a proper ending. Interestingly, when a later show he starred in the Heat of the Night, was canceled by NBC, CBS picked it up and gave it a proper 2-season finale. Despite the cancellation, All in the Family remained popular thanks to reruns still finding audiences. In 1991, the original cast reunited to celebrate the show's 20th anniversary. O'Connor received several accolades for his career, including a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. He passed away in 2001 from complications of diabetes. As a tribute to his work, a channel dedicated to classic TV shows honored him with a marathon of All in the Family reruns. Mike Evans as Lionel Jefferson. Lionel Jefferson, played by Mike Evans, was a main character in the early seasons of All in the Family. He was the son of the Bunker's black neighbors George and Louise Jefferson, and good friends with Gloria and Mike. Evans left All in the Family in the same year, season 5, that Lionel's family got their own show, The Jeffersons. Evans co-created another Norman Lear sitcom, Good Times, which also debuted in 1975. He initially continued playing Lionel on The Jeffersons, but left after the first season to explore other opportunities. Apparently, Evans wanted a bigger role and threatened to leave if this wasn't given to him. Series creator Norman Lear agreed to release him from his contract. Actor and opera singer Damon Evans, not related to Mike, took over the role of Lionel for a season, but then Mike Evans returned for seasons 6 through 8. Evans wasn't just an actor, he also co-created and wrote for the successful sitcom Good Times, 1974-1979. Beyond acting, Evans dabbled in real estate, owning properties in California. Sadly, he passed away from throat cancer at his mother's home at the age of 57. Mike Evans never married, which was confirmed by both his daughters in recent interviews. He is survived by his daughters, mother, brother, cousin, and niece. Alan Melvin as Barney Hefner. Barney Hefner, Archie Bunker's best bud, began his time on All in the Family in 1972, with occasional appearances. He gradually became a regular character, sticking with the show until the very end. Barney's popularity even landed him a spot in the spin-off, Archie Bunker's Place, where he appeared in all 4 seasons. Interestingly, Melvin had a different role earlier in the first season, a police desk sergeant. This small part showcased his acting range. Beyond All in the Family, Melvin was known for playing boisterous but likable supporting characters. He even surprised audiences with his ability to portray tough guys, like the time he did a spot-on Humphrey Bogart impression on another show. Melvin wasn't just a live-action actor. In the 1970s, he also lent his voice talent, credited as Al Melvin, to characters in popular shows like H.R. Pufnstuf and The New Adventures of Flash Gordon. He even brought cartoon characters to life in commercials, most notably as Al the Plumber for Liquid Plumber for an impressive 15 years. After Archie Bunker's Place ended in 1983, Melvin focused solely on voice acting until his retirement in 1994. His final performance was reprising the role of Magilla Gorilla in Scooby-Doo in Arabian Nights. Sadly, Alan Melvin passed away from cancer in 2008 at the age of 84. Rob Reiner as Michael Meathead Stivic. Playing Gloria's husband, Michael Stivic, Rob Reiner brought a counterculture vibe to All in the Family. Michael, a Polish-American hippie, often clashed with Archie's old-fashioned views. While a good guy at heart, he could be stubborn too. However, his morals usually leaned more progressive, and his arguments often held more logical weight. Before landing the role of Meathead, Reiner honed his craft in various ways. In the early 60s, he trained at a prestigious theater in Pennsylvania. Later in the decade, he appeared in small roles on shows like Batman and The Andy Griffith Show. He even acted in some films, including a few directed by his father. Reiner also dipped his toes into writing early on, working alongside Steve Martin on the Smothers Brothers Comedy Hour. They were the youngest writers on the show. Fast forward to 2021, and Reiner's still creating. He's developing a TV project exploring the relationship between Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump, tracing their lives from childhood to the point where their paths cross. In his personal life, Reiner married actress Penny Marshall in 1971 and adopted her daughter, Tracy. They later divorced in 1981. While directing the movie When Harry Met Sally, he met his future wife, photographer Michelle Singer. Their encounter not only influenced the film's ending, but it also led to their marriage in 1989. They have 3 children together. Reiner has openly shared his non-religious beliefs, but finds some appeal in Buddhist ideas. Today, he's a proud father of 4, including his adopted daughter, and a doting grandfather of 5. Danielle Brisebois as Stephanie Mills. Playing Stephanie Mills, the bunker's adorable 9-year-old houseguest, was Danielle Brisebois. Stephanie, the daughter of Edith's cousin Floyd, charmed everyone with her cuteness and wit. She was a bright and clever kid who wasn't afraid to sass back at Archie occasionally. The Bunkers took Stephanie in after her father abandoned her in 1978, but he later tried to swindle them for money in exchange for letting them keep her. Brisebois' career went beyond All in the Family. In the early 1980s, she appeared on shows like Battle of the Network Stars and Circus of the Stars. She even landed a role on Knots Landing as the daughter of one of the main characters. The late 80s saw her guest star on numerous shows like Hotel, Mr. Belvedere, and even iconic series like Murder, She Wrote and Tales from the Dark Side. Her talent was recognized in 2005 when VH1 ranked her among the top 100 greatest child stars. But Brisebois wasn't just an actress. In the 90s, she embarked on a music career, starting with backing vocals for rock singer Greg Alexander. This blossomed into a lasting partnership. Alexander co-wrote, produced, and even sang on her debut solo album in 1994. Brisebois' songwriting talent continued to shine. In 2012, she co-wrote a song for the rock band Halestorm, which even appeared on the popular show Glee. She also co-wrote songs for the movie Begin Again, including the Oscar-nominated Lost Stars. In 2008, Brisebois married music producer Nick Lashley. They have twin daughters, Charlotte and Lola, born in 2013. Danielle prefers a private life with her family and avoids the Hollywood spotlight. Isabelle Sanford as Mrs. Jefferson. Louise, the beloved wife of George Jefferson, who affectionately referred to her as Wheezy, was known for her role as the neighbor of Archie and Edith Bunker. In a bold move, Sanford took a leap of faith in 1960. She withdrew her retirement savings, boarded a bus with her 3 children, left her husband in New York, and embarked on a new life in Los Angeles. Upon her arrival, destiny came knocking when actress Tallulah Bankhead invited her to join the national production of Here Today. Fate continued to smile on Sanford as she made her Broadway debut in 1965 with a role in James Baldwin's The Amen Corner. This breakthrough opportunity paved the way for her to land a part in the iconic 1967 film Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. The versatile Sanford showcased her talent once more by reprising her beloved role as Louise Jefferson in the mid-1990s. She joined a touring company of The Real Live Jeffersons stage show, sharing the spotlight with Sherman Hemsley. Together, they charmed audiences with cameo appearances in the film Sprung and guest roles in The Parkers, Mafia, and 2 episodes of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. The dynamic duo of Sanford and Hemsley also graced the advertising world, starring in a series of commercials for Denny's and Old Navy. In recognition of her outstanding contribution to the television industry, she received a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame in January 2004. Her final bow came the following month, with an animated appearance as herself in the Simpsons episode Milhouse Doesn't Live Here Anymore. Sanford's personal life was also filled with love and family. She married William Edward Sonny Richmond, a house painter, in 1945. Together, they had 3 children, 2 sons, Sanford K. Richmond and Eric Richmond, and a daughter, Pamela Richmond Ruff. However, in 1960, the couple separated, and Sanford moved with her children to Los Angeles while Richmond stayed in New York, passing away later that year. In September 2003, Sanford underwent surgery on her carotid artery as a preventive measure. Unfortunately, her health began to deteriorate in the following months. On July 4, 2004, she was admitted to Cedars-Sinai Medical Center and passed away 5 days later at the age of 86. Her publicist cited natural causes as the reason for her death. Jason Wingreen as Harry Snowden. Playing the wise old bartender Hank at Moe's Tavern was actor Jack, who kept slinging drinks even after Archie became co-owner. Archie actually beat Hank to the punch by mortgaging his house, something the Bunkers didn't have to do since theirs was paid off. Before his time at Moe's, Jack played Nick in a 1950s Western called The Fearless Four. His voice also brought bounty hunter Boba Fett to life in the 1980 movie Star Wars Revenge of the Jedi, though another actor, Jeremy, donned the iconic armor. For the special DVD release years later, Boba Fett's lines were redone by Temuera, who also played Boba's father, Django, in another Star Wars movie. Jack once played a notorious dictator named Adolf in a 1960s show. He also appeared in a miniseries called Roots: The New Generation and a soap opera called General Hospital in the late 70s. After a guest spot on The Soup Nazi in the 90s, Jack decided to hang up his acting hat. His last credited role was on Heat in the Night in 1994. Jack was married to Scotty, who passed away in 1996. They had one son together. Jack himself passed away at his Los Angeles home in 2015 at the age of 95. Jeremy, the actor who wore the Boba Fett armor, paid tribute, saying he would be missed by his loved ones and all the Star Wars fans. Betty Garrett as Irene Lorenzo. Playing the progressive Catholic couple living next door, Beatrice and Frank, was actress Betty. During the summers, Betty would head to the comedy circuit, where she rubbed shoulders with famous names like Danny, Jerome, Carol, Imogene, and Jules. This experience helped her develop her singing and dancing talents. She even landed a gig as an understudy for the legendary Orson Welles in his final stage production. Though the play didn't do well, it gave Betty the chance to work with other talented actors like Joseph, Ruth, Martin, and Arlene. Years later, Betty reunited with her former co-star Esther at a special movie festival. Their movie, Ocean's Daughter, was shown at a fancy Hollywood hotel, and there were even synchronized swimmers performing in the pool. While working in Los Angeles, Betty was invited to do a comedy sketch. That's where she met Larry, the show's producer. After their performance, Larry took Betty for a drink and then drove her to a scenic viewpoint. There, he declared, "You're the one I want to marry." They were practically inseparable for the next 2 weeks, until Betty had to leave for a Chicago gig. Larry and Betty stayed married until Larry passed away in 1975. They had 2 sons together, Garrett, a composer, and Andrew, an actor. Betty even had a granddaughter named Madison, from her son Garrett and his wife, a Broadway actress named Karen. Sadly, Betty passed away in Los Angeles in 2011 at the age of 91. Bob Hastings as Kelsey. The talented Bob Hastings portrayed the character of Kelsey, or Tommy Kelsey, owner of the bar frequently visited by Archie and later purchased by him. Interestingly, the role of Kelsey was also played by Frank Maxwell in the episode Archie Gets the Business. The establishment was known as Kelsey's Bar, but a continuity error led to a variation in the spelling of the owner's name in the end credits. For the first 2 seasons, it was spelled Kelsey and then changed to Kelsey for the remainder of the series, except for the episode Archie Gets the Business, where it reverted to Kelsey. Following his military service, Hastings embarked on a career in entertainment, playing Archie Andrews in a radio series based on the Archie comic books from 1945 to 1953. He transitioned to television in 1949, appearing in early science fiction series such as Atom Squad. In 1954, Hastings showcased his versatility by portraying an amateur magician-turned-pitchman in television commercials for Baker's Instant Cocoa Mix. His first recurring role came in the late 1950s as a lieutenant on Phil Silver's Sergeant Bilko series. Hastings dedicated most of his career to television, including appearances in 2 episodes of Green Acres as an Air Force officer and a sheriff. He showcased his talent in the CBS military sitcom drama Hennessy, starring Jackie Cooper, where he played Lieutenant Bolt in the 1960 episode Spaceman. His guest starring roles extended to the ABC Warner Brothers sitcom room for one more, with Andrew Duggan and Peggy McKay, and the Robert Young CBS sitcom drama window on Main Street. Hastings also appeared as Russian pilot Igor Pyotkin on Hogan's Heroes, and on the NBC police sitcom Car 54, Where Are You? Voice acting was another feather in Hastings' cap, as he lent his voice to various animated characters and commercials. He voiced Superboy in the New Adventures of Superboy cartoons in the 1960s, Dee Dee in Hanna-Barbera's Clue Club, and James Gordon in the DC animated universe and Batman video games. His earlier animation work included voicing Henry Glop in Hanna-Barbera's Genie and Fred Flintstone and Friends, as well as various characters on Challenge of the Super Friends. Sadly, Bob Hastings passed away on June 30th, 2014, at the age of 89 due to prostate cancer. Mel Stewart as Henry Jefferson. Mel Stewart, who played George's brother Henry Jefferson, only shared the screen with Sherman Hemsley once. Their sole appearance together came in a 1973 episode where the Bunkers threw Henry a farewell party. This marked both Stewart's last episode on All in the Family and Hemsley's first. When The Jeffersons spun off into its own series in 1975, Henry's character faded into the background, with no further appearances or even mentions. Stewart's acting career began in 1959 with bit parts in television shows and movies. The early 1960s also saw him on Broadway in productions like Purlie Victorious and The Hostage. His early years included noteworthy voice acting work as well. He lent his voice to Scenes in the City, a lengthy jazz piece featuring text by Lon Elder and Langston Hughes, included on Charles Mingus's 1957 album, A Modern Jazz Symposium of Music and Poetry. In 1973, Stewart co-starred in the short-lived series Roll Out. The next year, he directed 2 episodes of another short-lived show, Get Christy Love, before taking a co-starring role in On the Rocks. After On the Rocks was canceled in 1976, Stewart portrayed Marvin Decker in the Bewitched spin-off Tabitha from 1977 to 1978. The 1980s saw Stewart as a leading actor on Scarecrow and Mrs. King, playing Section Chief Billy Melrose for the show's entire 4-season run from 1983 to 1987. He also remained active with guest appearances in both television and film. His final on-screen performance came in the 1993 movie Made in America, alongside Whoopi Goldberg and Ted Danson. Beyond acting and directing, Stewart was a skilled jazz saxophonist. A longtime resident of San Francisco, he also shared his acting knowledge by teaching at San Francisco State University, where one of his students was actor Danny Glover. He founded the theater group Black Actors Now Through Unity, Bantu, and staged plays at the Center for African and African American Art and Culture in San Francisco, as well as the Black Repertory Theater in Berkeley, California. A third-degree black belt in Aikido, Stewart opened a dojo in San Francisco's Bayview district to serve inner-city youth. Mel Stewart married Annie Dong on July 11, 1976. They had 1 daughter together. Sadly, Stewart passed away from Alzheimer's disease on February 24, 2002. Sherman Hemsley as George Jefferson. George Jefferson, the owner of Jefferson Cleaners and a local dry cleaner, was initially introduced as Edith's best friend Louise's husband and the Bunkers' neighbor in All in the Family. He later became Archie's main rival during seasons 4 and 5. Before pursuing acting in New York, Hemsley honed his skills by performing with Philadelphia groups. He then studied under Lloyd Richards at the Negro Ensemble Company and joined Vinette Carroll's Urban Arts Company. There, he participated in productions like But Never Jam Today and The Lottery. Hemsley's Broadway debut came with Purlie, a show he toured with for a year. In the summer of 1972, Hemsley joined the cast of the musical Don't Bother Me, I Can't Cope in Toronto, followed by a performance in the American Conservatory Theater production at the Geary Theater. During this production, he delivered memorable solo performances. A former jazz keyboardist himself, Hemsley ventured into music in 1989 with the single Ain't That a Kick in the Head. He later released a rhythm and blues album titled Dance in 1992. Hemsley even made an appearance on Soul Train around the album's release and performed the song Eyes in the Dark. Interestingly, despite playing outgoing characters, Hemsley was known for being a reserved and very private person. Some even described him as reclusive. He shunned the spotlight Hollywood offered and details about his personal life, like his unmarried status and lack of children, remained largely unknown to the public. Sadly, Hemsley passed away at his El Paso, Texas home in 2012 at the age of 74 from complications linked to lung cancer. Billy Halop as Mr. Munson. Playing Mr. Munson, the cab driver who lets Archie moonlight behind the wheel, 1971-1976, Billy Halop's career began much earlier. In 1933, he landed the lead role of Bobby Benson in the popular radio show The H-Bar-O Rangers. From 1934 to 1937, he took center stage in another radio series, Home, Sweet Home, as Dick Kent, son of Fred and Lucy Kent. While attending New York's professional children's school, Halop was cast as Tommy Gordon in the Broadway production of Sidney Kingsley's Dead End in 1935. This role led him to Hollywood when Samuel Goldwyn produced a film version of the play in 1937, taking the rest of the Dead End kids with him. Usually known as Tommy in the films, Halop became a recurring character as a gang leader in a series featuring the Dead End kids, later called the Little Tough Guys. World War II service in the U.S. Army Signal Corps changed things. By the time he returned, Halop found himself too old for the roles that made him famous. He even ended up starring in a low-budget East Side Kids knockoff at the age of 26, Gas House Kids, 1946. Fading film opportunities, marital problems, and struggles with alcohol gradually chipped away at his acting career. Interviews near the end of his life revealed Halop had been married at least 4 times. His first marriage to Helen Tupper lasted from 1946 to 1947. He married Barbara Hoon on Valentine's Day in 1948, but their marriage ended in divorce 10 years later in 1958. His third wife, Suzanne Rowe, battled multiple sclerosis. They were married in 1960, but divorced in 1967. The caregiving experience during this marriage led Halop to pursue nursing, finding steady work as a registered nurse at St. John's Hospital in Santa Monica, California. A fourth marriage to a fellow nurse, whose name remains private, was quickly annulled after an alleged attack. Halop eventually reconnected with his second wife, Barbara, though they never remarried. Following 2 heart attacks, he underwent open-heart surgery in 1971. Sadly, Billy Halop passed away from a heart attack in Hollywood in 1976 at the age of 56. Gloria LeRoy as Mildred Boom Boom Turner. Gloria LeRoy brought Mildred Boom Boom Turner to life, the curvaceous and confident secretary at Archie's workplace. Her character's nickname came courtesy of Archie himself, inspired by her striking figure. Born in 1925, LeRoy came from a family of entertainers. Her parents, Loletta and Russell LeRoy, were vaudeville performers in Bucyrus, Ohio. The family later moved to New York, where they owned a dance school that both Gloria and her brother Kenneth attended. Kenneth became a Broadway star, known for his dancing and singing talents. He even held the distinction of being the first actor to play Bernardo in West Side Story. Gloria, meanwhile, started her career young, performing as a specialty dancer on Broadway alongside Jackie Gleason in Artists and Models at the tender age of 17. LeRoy's early years were filled with nightclub performances as a dancer and singer. She even worked for impresario Lou Walters, Barbara Walters' father, at the Latin Quarter. Later, she headlined a Parisian cabaret show called Nouvelle Eve at the Hotel El Rancho Vegas, showcasing her talents from 1951 to 1952. LeRoy wasn't limited to the stage. She found success on television with recurring roles in soap operas like Days of Our Lives, Queenie, 1989, The Young and the Restless, Beatrice Tucker, 1998, and Passions, Ruth, 2000. She also graced sitcoms like Three's Company, Nancy, 1980, and Married with Children, Chesty LaRue, 1997, with her comedic presence. The new millennium brought more opportunities. LeRoy appeared in Frasier, Mrs. Smolensky, 2001, Rules of Engagement, pilot episode 2007, and even landed a role in Desperate Housewives, Rose Kemper 2009, during its 5th season. LeRoy's later years saw her grace the screens of Shameless, Aunt Ginger seasons 1 and 2, and Getting On, season 3, 2015. Sadly, Gloria LeRoy passed away in Los Angeles, California in 2018 at the age of 92. Sally Struthers as Gloria Bunker Stevick. Sally Struthers embodied Gloria Stevick, the Bunker's daughter, who balanced college life with being married to Michael Stivick. Gloria inherited her mother's kindness, but also possessed her father's stubborn streak. This stubbornness initially came across as childishness, but matured into a strong feminist spirit. Gloria often found herself caught in the middle between her father and husband, usually siding with Michael. Interestingly, the roles of Gloria and her spouse, originally named Dickie, were first offered to Candace Azara and Chip Oliver. In an interview, Struthers revealed she believed Rob Reiner's then-fiancée, Penny Marshall, would get the part due to her resemblance to Jean Stapleton, Edith Bunker. Candace Azara initially played Gloria in a pilot, but was later replaced. Despite a rocky start, the series soared in popularity after summer reruns, allowing millions to witness Gloria challenge negative stereotypes and fight for equality. Beyond All in the Family, Struthers' career included a stage production of Annie at the Atlanta's fabulous Fox Theater and a national tour in the late 1990s. Since the early 2000s, she's been a regular performer at the Ogunquit Playhouse in Maine. In 2014, she even toured in the 50th anniversary production of Hello, Dolly as the lead character. Television audiences might also recognize Struthers from commercials for International Correspondence School, ICS. Her memorable line, "Do you want to make more money? Sure, we all do," promoted the school's diverse curriculum, offering everything from bricklaying to personal computers. In her personal life, Struthers married psychiatrist William C. Rader in 1977, and after having a daughter named Samantha, they divorced in 1983. All right, everyone, that concludes our nostalgic look back at the cast of All in the Family. It seems incredible that over 5 decades have passed since the show's debut, yet the characters and the joy they brought us are forever unforgettable. Want to relive more classic TV moments? Hit that subscribe button and join our channel family. We'll be back soon with another trip down memory lane. Until then, see you later.